Good afternoon again. Hello. Another quick one. Try and do short ones today. I actually went on a bit of a tweet storm and got distracted with another topic. And then I forgot what this was supposed to be about. Hang on, let me just turn the levels down. It seems to be a bit high. Hang on a sec. Let me move it away. It's a bit better. A bit more comfortable then. I'm trying to work on sitting still. It has mixed results. Anyway, so I got distracted and I've been on this big thing about the ALP and how they're, I'll write a thing. Anyway, let's not get distracted because I'll end up talking for an hour about something else. But the intention of this stream, before I got distracted about other more important things, is fucking hell, America. Like last night, I logged onto Twitter. And people still I'm not kidding. Some dude, and I don't often go into the replies. Like it's just like, it's not, if I don't follow you, I don't see it. It's not much point. But like people have scrambled eggs for brains, but I love it. You go in on Twitter and you say something fairly benign. And then it's like, this guy literally, him, I think. I don't think he was a him. I think he was just a person. But he was in New York. Okay. I think he had a fedora, if I remember correctly. If not, I imagine him having one because he had that kind of vibe. He has a fedora vibe a lot on the internet. But he basically said, I'm not kidding. To me! Me, of all people. Kidding. People can have opinions all they like. It doesn't matter. If you read anything that I wrote, you'd know that I pretty much know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this guy goes, I think you need to do more research on your country. It's going into fascism. Haven't you heard? You need to do your research, Taya. I really should. Think I should look into it. What do you reckon? Fucking hell. I don't know, like read a book or know Australian history or understand anything about Australia other than what this 30-second propaganda clip about a former mine site being repurposed as a quarantine facility because our hotels were shown to have had inadequate ventilation and people were still getting sick. So it seems like an entirely fucking reasonable situation, and yet the far right, like in my previous fucking video, far right and the dimwits who don't identify as far right but are, fucking spin this shit like it's a concentration camp. It's like, no, it's just quarantine when you have a virus, which is not a new policy. If you know Australian customs or, we have pretty rigid customs and quarantine laws and a virtual wall, if you will, against viruses. Which is that if you haven't been vaccinated or you've got a contagious disease, you need to fucking quarantine. You can't bring fruit across the border from the eastern states to my state. Fascism! But I need to do my research. I just don't understand the issue. I mean, it's not like I do spend pretty much all fucking day researching this thing or anything. Fucking morons. And so my party line is basically, I just responded, and this is another thing about Twitter. They've introduced some friction where if you reply with something like, fuck off, you get this little, are you sure you want to tweet that? That might be considered offensive. I can't think of any time where I've been about to write, fuck off, to a dimwit, and I've gotten that and thought twice about it. I'm like, no, this guy needs to hear this. Friction works. It made me stop and think and reassess and become certain of my position, which is that fuckwit should fuck off. Damn the consequences. At least I trade off and go, is this worth a suspension? I haven't been suspended to date because I also have faith that Twitter, despite all its flaws, broadly would read this and see that it was an interaction of mansplaining and would say, that was a well-deserved fuck off. You just got to not misgender people in replies, but you can tell men to fuck off. That's still acceptable. Anyway, So I want to do a bit of a fucking randy pants because I never do that. Hang on, there's my mic levels. There we go. It's a bit better. Keep distorting it. Hopefully it's not distorting too much. But I'm going to read my Twitter thread because there's a point where you just give up on this shit. People they've got rotten brains. They've been propagandized to death. And you know what? At the end of the day, our country isn't perfect. I know. What a shock. Our country has a dark history. Our country that I don't fucking dismiss, okay? Our country isn't perfect. There is some scary fucking stuff being passed under emergency powers, but the difference between us and you fuckwits is that we don't live in a death cult. We don't look to our leaders as anything but fucking people that we elect and we trust and we can vote out next time in a landslide like we did in Western Australia. If we weren't happy with it, he would have lost, but he didn't. He won in a fucking landslide. And you don't understand that because you don't fucking trust your leaders because you live in a fucking death cult. So anyway, I'm going to read this thread because I'm quite proud of the humour in it. But I'm just correcting the record, okay? We're not perfect, okay? We've got policy problems. We have boomers in charge like any other country who don't understand the implications of the technology. And then they get consultants who also don't understand the technology, and they're also bullied and told by tech companies that, sure, it's fine. It's fine, okay? Most of them fucking can't fix a paper jam to save their lives, and they're making policy on fucking metadata and security and surveillance, okay? And most of this stuff is introduced not because Australia wants to do it, but it's because they have a fucking international obligation to do it because America's a fucking bully who wants to spy on the world and fucking they bully every country to implement all these laws because the fucking CIA want it. And if we don't fucking comply, then they'll, share propaganda and manufacture consent telling everyone that we're the real fascists, not them. Funny that. That's a much more fucking plausible scenario than literally the most easygoing people on the fucking planet like being farm animals and our government are fascists. No, you're idiots. You're fucking idiots. Now, you wouldn't know freedom. You don't know what freedom is. Freedom TM is just branding at this point. It's PR. Okay? And I'm going to show you some shit. Okay? Because I can cherry pick a few things too. How's that sound? Tit for tat. Tits for tat with Taya. All right? We're going to look at some fucking cleavage. Anyway. Let me share the screen. There we go. Where's my button? Let's hope this works. Oh, yeah. Move into the camera, Taya. There we go. Dear Americans and UK right-wingers. Now, I lump them in together because there's obviously differences, but it's the same fucking crew. These, all these people I thought were fucking legit, and they're actually just bullshit propagandists for the fucking right. Whatever they claim to be, they're propagandists, right? And they just escalate the situation. They inflame the situation. They run with a narrative. And then when they are proven wrong with data or facts or anything that's actually fucking reasonable, they then mansplain you and tell you to be polite and that maybe you should make better content or structure your argument better. No, fuck yourself. You're wrong. I pull rank on you. You're a fuckhead and you're an idiot. I live here and I'm qualified to say you're an idiot. It's that simple. I don't have time for this shit. I got my own shit. So anyway, so the UK, I'm lumping that these fucks who stoke the flames of the culture wars, who are fucking Dave Rubin lappers, and Dave Rubin's stupid. He's dumb, okay? Oh my God. Anyway, so dear Americans and UK right-wingers who keep perpetuating this idea that Australia has fallen. Okay? Fuck me. Guys, our government is too incompetent to keep a website up. Now, I'm referring to not this census, but the last time they did the census. They knew exactly how many households there were, exactly how many forms needed to be filled out. They told everyone to log in at the same time. And guess what? The website collapsed. And then So they obviously went on DreamHost or Wix or some shit for their host. Actually, if it was on Wix, it would have stayed up. They were on DreamHost, self-hosted WordPress for the fucking census. And so what they did was, rather than admit that they didn't actually allocate enough resources for their web server, which is pretty basic shit, okay, when you understand that these project managers are actually, these IT contracts are worth actually several $1 million, okay? If you tender and win that shit, if you pitch and win, you're set for life, government IT contracts. Okay, you got to do fuck all, and you have one job, okay, which is to like to fucking keep the website up. That's like literally like a major thing. So anyway, census website fucking was over capacity and broke, and then the minister came out and said, so these are our fascists, everybody. He came out and said that the website got DDoSed and hacked. There was a denial of service attack. Yeah, fuck off, there was. And no one believed them, and it was funny. This is the government we're talking about. They can't even keep a fucking website up for 5 minutes. Okay? Anyway, so it's fine. They're garden variety. What you need to understand is the difference between Australia and the US is that we know that our leaders are, first of all, full of shit. Okay? All right? Now, I'm just going to be 1 second. Angus, get off my fucking feed. Get off it. Get off my chat. It's on my video. That's my son. School holidays. It's good. No chatting on my stream. You're 12. You don't know what I'm talking about. That's a fascist, everybody. Everybody. My fascist son. Anyway. So what you need to understand about Australia that's different is that we are all fully aware of our fucking leaders. We know that they let us down. We know they're disappointing. We know they're fuckwits, okay? Now, the difference between us and America is that you guys seem to think that confidence and stupidity is a good combination, okay? And they're also not stupid. They're extremely savvy and extremely evil, okay? So you have a right to not trust your government, but they're actually competent. Ours are just fucking idiots, and we don't respect them at all. Now, here's the thing. Here's the Twitter feed. Sorry, but I love you, Angus. It's just distracting. It's knowing my son's watching. He knows that it is embarrassing when he watches his mum. He's not embarrassed of his mum. I was embarrassed of my parents. I've seen dead on their fucking shit. Anyway, let's not talk about my dad's green lycra bike pants that he used to love wearing and walking to school to give me my lunch money. That wasn't traumatizing at all. He knew I was embarrassed of him, so he put on his lycra. That showed me. Anyway. In fact, part of the reason Australians are so relaxed is because we have mostly surrendered to the idea, hang on, move on camera, mostly surrendered to the idea that our leaders are fucking morons. You worship yours and are in a death cult trauma bond. We let them go. Ignore them wherever possible, which is most of the time we ignore them. They have to send 3 or 4 letters in the mail. We fucking eventually call them. We eventually get around to doing the shit, okay? And like, whatever, we're chill. We let them go, ignore them wherever possible, and go to the beach and chill. I mean, other than the idiots who consume too much news, like the guy who tells me to do research on my own country and my own discipline and doesn't know what authoritarianism is, other than that, and get clout for their hot takes, like, you know, all these people that think that, again, the most relaxed country in the world actually is even capable of it, means you don't understand Australia. The political culture of Australia is 1, no respect for authority, 2, contempt, open contempt for our bureaucracy, right? And yet a complete and utter united front when it comes to fuckwits, Americans and bombs. Talked about that before. We just say like it is. Seriously though, most of Australia are chill as fuck. Our only interactions with our government are when we get an automated letter from them from yet another fuck up, or we wait a few hours for our free emergency health care. And also, just know that if you get a letter from Centrelink, or you get anything, They'll send a very serious letter that says, we may do whatever. We may, pursue this or do this or whatever. They don't. They'll send a second letter and a third letter, and then eventually they'll go, yeah, you should probably call us. Then you call them, and then they'll ask you why you called and fucking tinker with a computer. You'll spend 7 hours on hold, and then they won't know why you called. That's what it's like. It's just, we have an open contempt for bureaucracy, okay? And also, our Prime Minister's name is Scott. This is him. Did anyone start, I do wonder this, if anyone started a rumour that Hitler shat himself in a McDonald's, and also whether or not he felt the need to go on TV and deny that. Oh, good, the fuckwits are here. Scott. His name is Scott. I'm turning the chat off. Bye-bye, chat. Okay. Bots are in. This is the WA Premier, Mark McGowan. I actually worked with him when he worked for Kim Beazley, like back in student politics days, okay? He's an all right guy. He's widely liked, okay? He's the member for a bogan suburb, Rockingham, which is where all the cool redneck people, working class people live, okay? He's widely liked, okay? He won the last election that happened in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. People voted with their fucking feet, and they obliterated the Conservatives. I don't think there's actually anyone left. I think there's like 3. I can't remember how many there were, but they were obliterated, okay? He won, him and his government won in a landslide, okay? I happen to be cheering them on, okay? I happen to be a member of the Labor Party. Don't fuck it up. Anyway, so he's widely liked, and for Australians, as much as any politician, because you can't fully like a politician, okay? Nah, because they're like the worst people in the world, and has represented working class Rockingham for many, many years, okay? He loves kebabs, doesn't like fuckwits or Clive Palmer. Samesies. This is Gladys, other side of the country, 4,000 kilometres away. Australia, Western Australia is a third of the land mass of the country. We hate those fucks. Okay, that's why we've got a hard border and have largely not had anything to do with this pandemic. We've had a few brushes with it, but nothing serious, okay? Because of good management, dare I say. It's almost like this shit works. Okay, so this is Gladys. All right, so New South Wales, Sydney, has always been a police state full of rich snooty cunts, all the finance district and headquarters and all those fucks. So she has to lead that. Like, that's the best you're going to get in New South Wales. Even in the Labor Party, they're the most right-wing part of the Labor Party. I think, yeah, anyway, whatever. This is Dan Andrews, the Premier of Victoria. Poor Dan. Look at his face. Everyone thinks that he's a fascist because everyone's out. Those 19 people got arrested. That's the face of a fascist dictator. This is Dan Andrews, Premier of Victoria. His face is pretty much the face that all the leaders should have right now. Have had this last 18 months. Like the poor fuck, now he's being called a fascist. I also like to note that Mark McGowan is literally the only person in Perth to ever put on a collared shirt and comb his hair for a kebab. But that's a side point. Also, almost every outdoor press conference is someone walking on camera, heckling or tooting their horn and saying, yeah, cunt, to the Premier. And also, the Premiers are more powerful than the Prime Minister, most operationally speaking, okay? In the UK and US, you'd be shot for that, okay? Here, they just laugh and they just move on. Hey, you dickhead, move on, okay? Because we know that fascists are known for their sense of humour. Here's a photo of the Premier of South... This is my favourite. Here is a photo of the Premier of South Australia. Sometimes they go with Dan and Gladys over east, and sometimes they go with us, with Mark, okay? But no one knows who the fuck he is. South Australia, no one cares. No one knows. In fairness, people also only know who Mark McGowan is because he's literally the only Premier to tell Clive Palmer to go fuck himself. Until he basically, at the beginning of the pandemic, said, don't be a fucking idiot. It was just everything. And the police, America, we've got a vaccine commander. He said, fucking fuckwit. Journalist, start some shit and says, this was a press conference last week. It made me laugh. our vaccine commander. And he goes, what was it? Oh, yeah, with the AFL grand final, right? Big event here. It's like our Super Bowl, except less, fewer dickheads. And like someone checked in or something. I can't remember what it was, but there was someone who got COVID over the border. And then one journalist was like, well, shouldn't you be checking everyone's Facebook accounts? And he just laughed and basically said, don't be a fuckwit. And it was in so many words. That's been their whole, it's like, they just don't engage with this fucking shit. It was the journalist that did it, and he went, fuck off. What am I going to do? And then he turned around and he said, if we did that, you'd accuse us of being authoritarian like Facebook spies. I reject the question. Next. It's just different, right? I said, this is actually the Premier of South Australia. This is his real photo. He's that guy from LinkedIn who uses a 15-year-old headshot and then you meet him for coffee and it's awkward. His name is Stephen. Also, I went looking for a picture of the Anastasia, the Premier of Queensland, and I couldn't resist. But, okay, so that said, the Premier of Queensland appears to be a white supremacist. But in fairness, that is Queensland. They're kind of inbred and shit. But despite her resemblance to Gina Reinhardt, I swear, I hear she's all right, but it's too humid there for me to even Google it without sweating. The Premier of Tasmania is Pete Gutwine, and I deliberately misspelled his surname, which is an apt name considering Tasmania is pretty much the rectum before the arse end of the world, and it's the opposite of Queensland. Cold as fuck and woke as fuck. Anyway, here's our fascists. Scott, Mark, Gladys, Stacey, Peter and Stephen. And there's 2 territories, but they're run by spiders after they took over in the Great Huntsman debacle of 1994. And we don't talk about it because it's a bit embarrassing because it turns out they're not even poisonous. Our Prime Minister's name is Scott. And I'm pretty sure that fascist dictators don't go on primetime television to deny that they shat themselves in Engadine McDonald's in 1997. They shoot anyone who suggests it. Also, shut up, America. Again, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I'll get there. But if there's one uniting force in Australia, this is, again, something you need to understand. This is the code. This is the social code, the fabric, if you will, that binds Australians, okay? Which is spotting a fuckwit, everyone simultaneously agreeing someone is a fuckwit, and then all deciding, with no exchange of words at all, to ignore that fuckwit. That's Australia. And we think most of our politicians are fuckwits, okay? And the only way our government is capable of torture is by sending everyone an accidental MyGov notification all at once, which is the government platform where you get all your shit, that tells us all to call them by the next day under threat of prosecution and only put 5 staff on at the call centre, only for them to have no idea why you call. Now, of course, I'm joking. We have some dark shit too. But the point is, okay, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know our country. You can't even point to us on the map. And the only reason you can maybe point to us on a map is because we're literally the only big-ass island down here. Otherwise, you can't tell the difference. You can't name a thing about Australia without Googling it or using a fucking like weird-ass stereotype, okay? So shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, you inflict yourselves on us. And I thought that I'd show what we got. It's on CNN. We get this media. How much media of ours do you get? Do you get any? Nah. But we receive this shit. All right. Hang on. Where are we? Here we go. This.
Your data reporter, Harry Anton, right now. Harry, you wanted to find out if the people who are unvaccinated because they don't trust the vaccine, they don't trust science, were the same people.
So, context. Sorry, let me turn that chat off on that scene. Hang on. Context, okay? One sec. Context. This is basically a fucking psyop. I want you to see the language. I want you to see how the tenuous link, and I want you to see what real fucking fascism looks like, okay? Which is when the corporations, the government, collude, misrepresent statistics create some weird tenuous link in order to other and demonize a group and make it and link people to a certain political ideology and basically then incite mobs against their political opponent. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. This is from a few weeks ago. I've been meaning to sort of shoehorn this in. Here we go.
People who believe the big lie about the election, that it was stolen and that there was fraud. Are they the same?
Well, I mean, look, if you believe that Joe Biden won the election legitimately, more than 80% of those folks have been vaccinated. So that's a pretty clear correlation. If in fact you believe the opposite, which is that Joe Biden won the election only because of election fraud, only about a third of those folks have been vaccinated. So clearly what we're seeing is a correlation between your beliefs about the election and whether or not you've been vaccinated.
Okay, so
quickly, correlation. Most people don't know the difference between the two. And they keep being very slippery. This would have gone through the legal department. If you want an education in how to absolutely say horrific shit and get through legal, and if you're sued or, that sort of plausible deniability, this is a lesson in that, okay? But first of all, they call it big lie. So that is instantly aligned with Nazism, okay? Goebbels' big lie, okay? That strategy. They use that deliberately. Nazis. First thing you think, Nazis, okay? People who question Joe Biden's election, big lie, Nazis, okay? Whether or not you think that's true or not is irrelevant. Then what they do is they say that's a pretty strong correlation. So therefore there's no causation and you're actually just, there's manipulation here, okay? This is a critical reading of fucking CNN. This is how this is a psyop, right? This is propaganda and incitement, right? If this leads where I hope it doesn't lead, but I think it might, then we're going to be, I'm actually saving these because I want to study them because I have a feeling it's going to end bad. So anyway, this is like that genocide. Oh God, the propagandists have been sharing now this is how genocide happens, right? For Australia. Dickheads. But not realizing that this is actually happening on their own, our media would never really do anything like this. Okay. So that's a pretty strong correlation to the Nazis. That's the subconscious thing. But it's actually, think about how it's being received by someone who has already been radicalized for years and years and years, okay, over Trump, who has full-on Trump derangement syndrome, who is hyper online, who is hyper Rachel Maddow, Russiagate, paranoid as fuck, okay? We've all met that person, okay? Complete Russiagate conspiracy nut, right? Who is off the deep end. They're fucking scared to leave their house because people aren't wearing masks. They're scared to fucking do everything. They're like that woman, the Catherine Tate, that woman is screams at cereal and screams at everything because she's afraid of everything. Okay, she watches CNN, and you go, okay, so how is this different from 4chan and the shooters? How is this different? Because basically it's the same thing, which is the call to action that's received by people who aren't in a good way. So let's just watch this, okay? So first of all, they say big lie. So linking people who say America's electoral system is fraudulent and corrupt, ding, 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 true. No matter who won, that's fucking true, right? As again, it's like that they're haggling over the details and not saying, they're only saying the other side does it, but they're all fraud. They're all fucking liars and they're all corrupt. So anyway, it's true. Now, but then what they'll do is make it link to the vaccinated. So what they'll do is link and create some sort of causal link or imminent harm or immediate danger that's linked to Nazis, Q, it couples in anyone who goes, okay, anyone who questions vaccines is in Q, just sort of bundling all of these individual things in together to basically just, incite insane people to do insane things. And this is the deeply worrying part. So
there's an overlap, but it's not like just a circle. The Venn diagram is not just a circle. So where are the differences?
Yeah, this to me is so incredible. Only 51% of Americans believe, one, that Joe Biden won the election legitimately, and two, have received at least one dose of the vaccine. 45% of Americans either don't believe Biden won the election legitimately and or have gotten a first dose of the vaccine. So we're basically a 50-50 nation at this point, not just with our elections, but when it comes to conspiracy theories. That 51% versus 45%, one of the scariest statistics I've seen, and you know I look at stats all the time.
Yeah, you do.
See, scariest statistics. Well, it's not a statistic, okay? This is part of the stuff about where there's gaps in the data, okay? Because when you understand the culture wars with this stuff, you can see how this is a complete fucking load of shit. If you pay attention to it, but if you actually, he acts like this is a fact and he's surprised by this fact and it's a finding. It's like, no, you went looking for a correlation that doesn't exist. And then you fudge the numbers to try and find some weird correlation and link it to the Nazis. Like it's actually, and when he says these are the scariest stats I've ever seen, this is one of the scariest misuses of data that I've ever seen. Because unlike these fucks, and unlike people who take this on face value, I actually pay attention to the conversations, okay? And this is really chilling. This is, no one has any business accusing Australia of fascism. Let's put it that way.
Is this surprising to you?
No. If I'm being honest with you, it's not surprising to me. Why is that? It's because we know that Americans love to believe in conspiracy.
And again, listen to the language, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, there's subtext there. Okay, my grandma used to say, never trust a man who says, trust me. Okay? He's not being honest. Okay, he's lying. So what they did, this is quite a powerful piece of propaganda, because what he does is he says the other guys are doing a big lie. They're conspiracy theorists. They are crazy. They question the election result. Okay, and also. We're not the big lie people. We tell the truth because I'm honest with you. And this is a surprising statistic because they are banking on the fact that most people don't know. They take a correlation, especially one that's just, they don't even say what kind of correlation there is. All right. They say there is an overlap. Okay. Like, fuck me. Like this is, but we're the honest ones. We're the ones that fudge the data. But I stumbled on this data by accident. Fucking hell. But yes, but then they go, conspiracy theory. It's that stack. It's a propaganda stack, okay? This is the shit that people are consuming.
Conspiracy theories.
But the neighbor, so the neighbor stuff is the bit. There's actually a call to action at the end of this, which is actually the chilling part. So
back in 2012 that looked at a bunch of different conspiracy theories, and what it found was that 63% of Americans believed in at least one conspiracy theory. So the 45% who either haven't gotten the vaccine at this point and or believe that Biden only won because of election fraud tends to line up with it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who just...
It tends to line up with it, unfortunately. But he sounds very credible, doesn't he? He's very serious and very earnest, and he's very honest with you. But there's this one study in 2012, which I won't cite because, that would be, under scrutiny. But what we will do, they did cite it. Sorry, my mistake. Okay. Fairleigh Dickinson University. Credible. Awesome. Because we all know that all of the studies that come out of America are fucking legitimate. And that voters believe in at least one conspiracy theory in 2012. Well, when, selling puberty blockers to children is written off as a conspiracy theory rather than a policy concern, or believing in biological sex is considered a fucking conspiracy. Fucking hell! Like this is the dangerous thing. It's just it's like a year 9 media studies class come to life in propaganda, like extreme. If we were, how when you go and study the original like fascist propaganda and how overt and aggressive it is, and in hindsight. We study it and go, oh, this is blatant. Okay.
Don't want to believe the truth, and they're endangering a lot of us.
And those conspiracy theories that you're referring to.
People who don't want to believe the truth.
We're not talking about like something fun and Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. This is about whether like the United States government knew about 9/11 ahead of time, like really dark stuff.
That's exactly right. These are dark conspiracy theories. 9/11, believe that either the 04 or the 12 elections were stolen. Believe something false about Barack Obama's upbringing, perhaps that he wasn't born in the United States. So we're talking about deep, dark stuff here. A lot of Americans believe this false information out there. And unfortunately, Jake, there are a lot of people peddling it, and people believe those people.
A lot of people on the internet, some people on other channels.
It's just terrible. I wish people would be much more honest with their viewers. Like,
so some people on other channels are sharing bullshit.
you and I are being right now.
They're not honest. Oops. They're not honest like you and I. But anyway, so what happened there, right? I think maybe the whole clip, but basically what happened at the end of that clip, and it was accompanied with an article about how Facebook are killing people. Okay. Oh, that's right. So the context of that video when I saw it was when the story went live about Facebook killing people. What happened there was that this video appeared. It's very persuasive. It's quite aggressive amounts of propaganda and bullshit. Okay. Now, again, yes, there's a big conspiracy factor to a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of people who are radicalized. Yes, they're all true, but it's what you leave out, okay, which is that correlation is not causation, all of those sorts of things. But there's one study in 2012 from a university no one's fucking heard of. Here's this obscure paper. We're familiar with that. If you've been in the gender debate, you're familiar with. So was it a psychology? What was the research paper? Was it a psychology, like, what was it? What method did they use? You know, are we going to scrutinize that paper? How reliable was it? What was the sample size? What was the sampling method? Did they get a reliable sample? Was it a casual, like, Nielsen quiz type of situation where people went, yeah, I believe in fucking crazy shit, don't we all? And then, you know, like, there's lots of like questions. Also, with studies, there's things called confounding factors, which is that, yeah, when people don't trust their government, they believe in conspiracy theories. Like I've said before, if you're looking at the psych research around radicalization, people's material well-being, if the government is destroying their life and they're stretched and they're working 3 jobs and they're under threat of healthcare and their livelihoods are threatened and all of these sorts of things, then they're going to be more prone to conspiracy theories because their government is basically a fucking death cult. And then, so what they're using is the psychological technique. The psyop of CNN is just amazing because basically they managed to go from big lie to doubting the integrity of the American electoral system. And I'm sorry, but universally, most people are like, I've said this before, like, I don't think they stole it, but I think that the whole system is fucking dishonest and corrupt and, like, run by dark money and, like, all this shit, right? It's like, yeah, it's the bits they leave out, right? Oh my God. So they go from, you know, big lie, which is Nazis, to, you know, Trump, to questioning the election, which is a conspiracy theory, which means basically being a political scientist who looks at data and says, yeah, there's quite a bit of fucking dodgy shit that goes on in America. You're the laughing stock of the world. You keep saying you're a democracy and calling everyone else fascist when you're the biggest fascists. Because narcissistic abusers love Davo. So they go to Trump again, fuckwit, universally known as a fuckwit. So Australia goes, yep, we didn't need to say it. We just go, yeah, that guy's a fuckwit. We all agree, fuckwit. That's the baseline. That guy's a fuckwit. He's ruined our internet. He's ruined our social media. We should ignore that fuckwit. And I think you'll find that if you did a study on Australia, that there's a large portion of people that just blocked Trump or left Twitter because he was a fuckwit. Okay. Because he dominated everyone's feed, whether you followed him or not. That's what happened. So we wanted to fucking get rid of you fucks. So anyway, Trump to Q and crazy conspiracy theories, internet trolls, bad actors, anyone who doesn't take the vaccine. There's a correlation between that and all of these other things. Therefore, you're a Nazi. Oh, and also Facebook's doing it, and they're killing your mum and they're killing your neighbours. Now, is that not a call to action? So what's happening? What the subtext of this whole thing, when you actually look at the article, which I should have actually shared, but this is whatever. I was supposed to be quick. I think you get the gist. But basically, you know, there's this whole narrative, which is basically, okay, if you're a fucking mentally unstable Russiagator like Rachel Maddow, you're fucking nuts, and you have full on, if you have again, and you're armed, because again, there's Democrats who own guns, there's Democrats who, love conspiracy theories, there's fucking, a whole bunch of people who plug this Russiagate shit, which, yes, there are bad actors, but that's just geopolitics. That's going to happen. That happens everywhere, okay? Which this Australia has fallen shit is the same thing. They're just trying to undermine and create some narrative for other purposes, which I believe it's such a coincidence that 2 weeks later we signed this sub deal. Seems to me like a bit of a fucking flex, given America's history of strong arming, again, we're not really a social democracy anymore, but we'd probably end up back there if given a chance, and I think sentiment's heading there. But they're strong arm. They go, oh well, we've got to deal with France. We don't want to do this. We can't back out of that deal. There's all these things. Oh yeah, well, how would you like it if we manufactured consent like we did Venezuela? Bang! Put all this shit on the internet. Get the dummies to share it. Create this narrative, and we're all just sitting there going, are we? Okay. I thought that looked like a fucking, that's a donger. Our 1% fucking stay there. And that looks nice. That's cool. We'll go to barbecue area and drinks and shit. Seems like pretty better than a hotel. But no, it's like concentration camps. Fucking idiots. So they go with this narrative and they fucking support this narrative without getting closer to home and looking at their own fucking government. And the thing is, and the difference between, you could actually argue that I should stay out of America's business, but that's not true because that's on our media. That's dominating our media, okay? That's affecting our people. It is affecting our people who are out in the streets, a small percentage, a very small percentage of the population being fuckwits, because most of the population are, but there's a whole bunch of people who are on Facebook being radicalized by this shit, thinking that their government's tyrannical and out in the street because they don't have anything else to do. They don't have a job. They don't have any, and again, that's just the consequence of having a conservative government. Like I said, we're not perfect. We've got a conservative government, but we're fine. We're just a normal fucking country that's got a conservative fucking government that doesn't help anybody. Okay, people are going to be mad and protest. And resist the vaccination because the government has let them down over a period of 25 years. So, 30 years. Thanks, America. Good job. So, again, that's American foreign policy coming onshore. American media, American internet, American fucking narratives. Loads and loads and loads of fucking psyops and propaganda. People who want to get people unstable on the streets and fighting, and actual fascists trying to get people to be, create an uprising so that they can simulate some sort of fucking instability. And it's not so much about actual facts anymore. It's just about whether you have enough people believing it. If you have 10% of the population believing something is true, then it becomes true. And we're seeing this with the gender shit, right? Is that it reaches a point and it becomes an established belief within society. So that's the goal, is to not nudge the majority of us, but to nudge enough of us so that people go along with the crazies. Because most people are polite and go along, especially Australians, because we're cruisy and we just go, fuck it, whatever, do what you want. So doesn't affect me. Whatever. That's just a cultural thing. It's a cultural gap. Whereas you guys pick all the wrong fights, all the wrong battles, and you're fighting and shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic when your own government is declaring war on you. So maybe get closer to home. Now, while I talk about material reality, this is linked to my video yesterday. All right? Which is, let's look here, right? Reuters. New York hospitals fire, suspend staff who refused the COVID vaccine. Now, I'm not anti-vaccine. Just want it clear. I'm not. Okay, it's out. It's been approved as all these things. Okay, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just defend people who are written off as conspiracy theorists for having reasonable objections. Okay, here you go. Whoops. New York hospitals on Monday began firing or suspending healthcare workers. Remember how we had that thing where we loved the healthcare workers and we were clanging saucepans and shit? Well, that didn't last, did it? Turns out you need to do more than clang saucepans. Weird. So they began firing or suspending healthcare workers in a pandemic when they're stretched and thin. Okay. And resulting staff shortages prompted some hospitals to postpone elective surgeries or curtail services. And what I find interesting about this article is that they're more focused on how much money it costs them and how much they're going to lose than the actual livelihood of any of the fucking healthcare workers. That's really telling, right? So, New York City told a news conference the city's hospitals were not yet seeing a major impact from the mandate, adding he worried about other areas of the state where vaccination rates are lower. Yeah, no surprise. You know, maybe you should actually just say, hey, really, I'm sorry, like, please. Fucking hell, people double down. Dickheads. Anyway, where are we? So they you know, whatever. Where are I? Hang on. This is the thing. So Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo suspended elective inpatient surgeries and had stopped accepting intensive care patients from other hospitals as it prepares to fire hundreds of unvaccinated employees, a spokesman said. Now, again, I think the vast majority of them are not resisting the vaccine, but actually resisting the mandate. And if you actually fucking treated them with a bit of fucking respect, they might actually just go do it. Anyway, Cutler said the decision to curtail some operations would inconvenience patients, well, God forbid that happens, and hurt hospital finances. Elective inpatient surgeries bring in about $1 million per week. We had to make a decision as to where we could temporarily make some changes so we could ensure other areas of services are as little affected as possible. So this is their main concern, not the welfare or well-being of the workers, not making sure that, you know, having a program to persuade them and incentivize them that isn't fucking authoritarian and counter to any reasonable workers' rights that exist, or human rights even, okay? Oh, yeah, God forbid you'd actually persuade anyone or fucking talk them into it or give any kind of gesture. Oh, but maybe you could use health insurance over them and see if that works, or incentivize them somehow. What do you think? No, we'll punish them. So the inoculation push comes as President Biden and other state and federal political leaders ratchet up pressure on unvaccinated Americans, some of whom object to mandates on religious or health grounds. Okay. So New York issued an order. Where are we now? Here we go. Healthcare workers who are fired, and this is what I mentioned yesterday. Healthcare workers, okay. I mean, God forbid we lose $1 million a week. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? Because then we'd have to have a conversation with our healthcare workers who we were clanging saucepans for fucking 18 months ago, right? Healthcare workers who are fired for refusing to get vaccinated will not be eligible for unemployment insurance unless they are able to provide a valid doctor-approved request for medical accommodation, okay? Now, that's reasonable. Again, I think that you know, I don't know. But again, it's not. This is not about incentives. This is about employers' rights and employees' rights to not be forced. And again, I know they're healthcare workers. There is an imperative, but at the end of the day, that is in the American system. It's an atrocious abuse of power, and we know that it will be abused, and we know that it sets a precedent, which is that an employer can now just arbitrarily decide, like, whether you get unemployment. It's at their discretion. So even if you lose your job, you don't get to claim unemployment benefits while you find something else. It's crazy. Like, even for someone who's largely like, oh yeah, vaccinate everybody. Come on, get there, go on, do your thing, fucking whatever. This is obscene. Like, this is why people don't trust you. This is why people fucking resist this stuff. Because they don't trust you because you're just not asking. You're telling and demanding, and you're holding their livelihood and survival against them. That's not cool. Yeah, leaders, right? Rulers, leaders. There's a difference between a ruler and a leader. Fucking, who are the fascists? Scott and Gladys, okay? And the white supremacist Queensland humid lady. and the Huntsmans or this. So a federal judge in Albany temporarily ordered New York state officers to allow religious exemptions for the state-imposed vaccine mandate. Again, I know that the science says healthcare workers should, again, there's complexity, but this is also about the rights of the employee. And not only that, but remember, your unemployment insurance is not just collecting unemployment, but it's actually your health, their healthcare. So the healthcare workers lose their healthcare. Vaccinate or you lose your healthcare. You want to eat? Like, that's just cruel. It is there comes a point with systems where the cruelty is the point, right? And the cruelty is the point. This is the death cult. And if you disagree, you're a fucking Nazi. And what you are is fair game for all the radicalized fuckfaces who think that you're killing their grandma. You don't think that's going to end badly? I don't think anyone knows where genocide starts. And again, I hope it doesn't happen. It looks like it's gonna. And I'm not someone who I'm not a catastrophizer. And I sit there and I go, you guys have lost the fucking plot. What business do you have judging us? Fuck off. Okay? And the difference between us and you is that you are bullying us, not the other way around. Okay? Your culture bullies us. You're trying to take over us. You've bullied us into this submarine deal, I'm sure of it. You've got the fucking power. You dominate culture. You dominate tech. You decide who speaks. You decide what we say. You decide what the words mean. And then if we fucking twitch, you use the force of all of your might and disproportion to punish rather than incentivize. Go fuck yourselves. How dare you talk about us being fascists? For basically, again, we just incentivize our people. Most of the people I know who are working on these things are just trying to figure out, again, this is basic fucking psychology, operant conditioning. You can punish or you can reward, okay? You can add a punishment or you can remove one, okay? You can, America is basically this sort of negative punishment approach, which is that, oh, you like food, do you? Well, or we'll stop hitting you and we'll stop defaming you and calling you a Trump supporter if you do what we say. It's like there are other ways to fucking persuade people that are a lot more effective, like positive reinforcement. Okay. Fuck me. This is brutal. So anyway, let me go back to the camera. That was all. I just was just getting my shits on because I'm sick of fucking Americans telling us we're fascists and then telling me to do my research. And this is it's male Americans, people with dicks who from America who are stupid and confident. They're that dangerous combination of stupid, confident, and fucking sexist who are just lecturing me on something that is far worse in their backyard. Hey, guess what? The person who told me that my country was going into fascism and I should do my research, he lives in that state. Just saying. Maybe you should look closer to home, fuckface. Australia's fine. We've got a conservative government and they're fuckheads and they're abusive and we're having an election this year and I'll talk about that another time. Okay? But yeah, I'm going to go. I just wanted to talk about that because it's driving me fucking crazy. I'm sick of this shit. But I'm also sick of people who should know better perpetuating this story, knowing it's not true. People who visited Australia know it's not true. People who've been told directly by Australians that it's not true and they still say it because they know that that's going to get them fucking... If they say it isn't true, then they're going to fucking lose subscribers or lose their fucking super chats or, actually have to be honest and earn an honest day's wage rather than actually, peddle bullshit and feed the most abusive machine that ever has existed in history at this point. Okay, this is far outstripping what happened in Germany. If America slips into fascism, that is a world fucking fascism, and people don't understand how downwind we are from this stuff and how precarious this really is. And when you see a trusted news source saying we're telling the truth, fair and balanced, they make Fox News look fucking fair and balanced. But this is obvious propaganda that says, that links all of this stuff together and demonizes and 150 million people. Oh my God. Anyway, it's hard to see that this is where I don't know how we can like stop this from happening, because they're just on a trajectory. They're just it's just weaponized stupid. Like, it's dangerous stupid, because it's a stupid, confident, aggressive, reckless mob who also happens to fucking own everything. It's like O'Doyle rules, but it's the principle. It's crazy. Fuck me. I find this worrying. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I don't know whether I've dropped off or what, but whatever. It's that time of day, and like I wasn't paying attention to the chats because the fucking like bot started, and my son he thought he was funny. I'm gonna go. I love you. Take care. But fucking hell, can you just make sure that you just tell these guys that they're fucking idiots and stop giving these people money? That's the other thing. Stop enabling this. It's insane. It's CNN who said that. Okay. Russiagate was bullshit for a start. But like, that video just stands as a absolute classic case study in how to build how to manufacture consent for the most horrific moments in history. Crazy. Anyway, I love you. Thank you for your precious 5 seconds. If you want to go to become a patron, you can. My website's on its way. It takes longer than you'd think, always, but it's on the way. Take care, and I'll talk maybe tomorrow. Maybe. Yeah, I'll probably will. Okay. Bye.